Literally everyone says that ACOTAR is a feminist book because it's empowering. You know, we all know that Feyre is a huntress and she becomes a queen, and so she makes her own decisions. And I've seen that empowering parts and I'm not built to them, but something kept bothering me. You know, something I couldn't shake, and it finally clicked. I think everyone's asking the wrong question. You know, it's not whether Feyre is powerful or whether she has agency. It's about whether a book can call itself feminist when almost every turning point in the heroine's life, in this case Feyre, is authorized by a man. And that's the question I want to leave you with. Hi, welcome back to Let's Take episode number... I lost the count, sorry. Notice any changes? Back to ACOTAR. So today we're going to talk about her. You'll know her. Her name is Feyre. She's a 19-year-old huntress. And, you know, to put her life in a nutshell, I should say that she kills a wolf, gets dragged to Prythian, falls for Tamlin, breaks a curse, dies, and then comes back to life as Feyre, and ends up High Lady of the Night Court. This series has sold over 13 million copies and it lives on BookTok. And about the author, Sarah J. Maas has said that she wanted Freya to be sexually liberated. Like, it's your body, it's your choice. And also, she wanted her standing on equal footing with the male characters. And so readers ran with that. And Rhysand, we're going to talk about him a lot today. He gets called a feminist icon in comment sections constantly. I noticed the same pattern showing up 3 separate times. And so you might ask, why 3 times? I mean, I have found a lot of more times, more than 3, but I don't want this video to be too long to watch and boring. So if you want more patterns, just let me know in the comments so I might make part 2 of this video. So the first one starts with Tamlin. This is in chapter 21st of book 1. What happens here is that Tamlin is under a magical compulsion. He pins Feyre down and bites her, and she tells him to stop, but he doesn't, not until she physically can't help herself anymore. And his only line afterward is that, "Never disobey me again." This Feyre should hate him for this. I mean, if I were her, I would. But here in the story, the narrative won't let her to do that. It folds the violation into the romance instead of naming it. She stays. She loves him when she eventually leaves. It's because he became controlling, like too controlling. Not because of this. I mean, this in itself, it intersects me. I mean, it's what the book does with it afterward. Nothing. Literally nothing. It's never said again as a reason the relationship ends. I mean, and that absence is the tell. Now let's get to the pattern number 2. It's about Rhysand. I mean, like that handsome, beautiful king. Oh my god, that most of us love. He gets her out of the cell and then dresses her in seductive clothes. He drugs her with magic wine, makes her dance for a room while she's high and disoriented and throwing up. And he licks her tears during a breakdown. Rhysand's own words in here are like, she became the plaything of Rhysand, the harlot of Amarantha's court. Feyre, in her own words, she experiences this as torture. And you know, the readers let him off the hook anyway, because he was protecting her, because he was playing a role he needed to play that time. To make myself clear, I'm not equating him with Tamlin. I mean, that is not the point I'm talking about here. Here, the point is that he keeps ending up as the one who authorizes what happens next in Feyre's life. And I think we need to talk about that. I mean, he hands her choices, but only the ones he's willing to hand her. And here, it is the actual strongest defense of Rhysand, and I want to give it its full weight instead of waving it off. When I was doing research to prepare my script for this video, I read anything I could find. I mean, like blogs, posts, articles, anything, anywhere, and I found something interesting that I want to share briefly here with you. You know, it says that agency doesn't have to be solitary to be real, and feminist theorists like Carol Gillian have argued for decades that autonomy exercised within relationships, like trusting someone, being changed by them, and then choosing them, isn't a lesser or fake version of agency. It is just relational instead of individual. And you know, when you put the story under that lens, Feyre choosing to be transformed by Rhysand isn't proof that she lacks power. It is actually a different version of what power looks like. I said that this was interesting to me, and you know, I take that argument seriously, and here's where I think it still breaks down for Feyre specifically. Relational autonomy assumes something close to equal footing between the people in the relationship, and Rhysand isn't her equal in that exchange, because he has centuries of power, magic she doesn't understand yet, and full knowledge of what's happening to her he doesn't share. To be honest, you cannot call this mutual transformation. That's one person choosing on her behalf how much reality she gets access to, which is exactly the pattern that shows up again later at the highest stakes possible. To be fair, here's a real counterexample to my own argument, which is Feyre going under the mountain in the first place. Like, I mean, nobody sends her, no one forces her to do that. She chose this herself alone to save her family before Rhysand or Tamlin have anything to say about this matter. Here, if I'm building a pattern, I have to account for the moment that doesn't fit in. And I think this is where the pattern actually gets more interesting. The choice is real, and it is also the least fully unmediated choice she gets to make for the most of the series. The moment she crosses into Prythian is the moment the story starts handing her decisions back. So the expectation doesn't disprove the pattern, it marks where the pattern begins. Let's take a look at A Court of Silver Flames. Feyre in this book is pregnant with a child who has wings. The midwife says that in this case, mother and the baby, they both die. Feyre doesn't know anything about this, but the inner circle knows everything. So they decide without her that she's better off not knowing for her peace of mind. Here we have a woman denied information about the risk to her own body by the men who love her because they decided that was kinder than the truth. And the book itself calls this deeply fucked. That is the actual language on the page. And Feyre never gets the reckoning that acknowledgement would require. And unfortunately, the narrative flags the betrayal and then moves past it. And for me, this scene right here, it was the scene that made the pattern impossible to me to ignore. I think if we ask questions like, is Feyre powerful? Does she get to choose? I think these are the wrong questions to ask entirely. I mean, she does get power, she does get a crown, but trace how she gets there. Her literacy, her recovery, her title, and even the information about her own pregnancy that I talked about it earlier. And almost every step is granted or permitted or sometimes withheld by a man who decided she was ready. That is not the same as paternalism disguised as romance. It is a lot closer to it than the feminist icon branding wants to admit. I know that every one of you who are watching this video, you have read ACOTAR. Otherwise, why would you want to watch this video? And I know that most of you felt genuinely inspired by Feyre. And your reaction is not baseless. I mean, she does survive many things, she grows and she claims things for herself. But it's worth sitting with what it means to call a book feminist when its most important shifts in Feyre's life happen because a man says it's your choice and means it selectively, when even her own safety is information rationed out by people who love her. This series, ACOTAR, doesn't wear feminist as comfortably as its reputation suggests. And at the same time, I don't think it fails outright either. I think it's a harder, messier answer than either side of this argument wants to give it. Imagine, like, you have a beautiful golden cage and it's like this cage is nicer than most and it is precious, it is beautiful, it's like a dream, but you know, it doesn't change the fact that it's still a cage. I think I give it a 3.5 out of 5. I know there are real feminist moments here, like Feyre survived her strength, her reclaimed sexuality, and these are worth mentioning. I don't say that I ignore them all. I just don't think they're what defines the series once you look at how her power actually gets delivered to her, page by page. So what do you think now? You agree or disagree? Do you consider rational autonomy enough to answer this, or do you think that the power imbalance break it? Tell me in the comments down below, and if you have anything to say about this, or you have any objections, or you want to prove me wrong, let me know in the comments so we can discuss this. I'd be more than happy to answer to all of your comments. And don't forget to hit subscribe right now if you want more of these. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye!